Have you ever left a conversation feeling like you lost, even after saying everything you thought mattered? That knot in your throat, that hollow feeling. It's not just frustration. It's the quiet realization that your words didn't protect you, didn't empower you. Maybe you're surrounded by loud voices, people who interrupt, mock, dominate. And somewhere along the way, you believe staying silent meant weakness. But what if you were wrong? What if true power never lived in words, but in their absence? Nietzsche, one of history's most misunderstood minds, saw it clearly. The more someone talks, the more they reveal. The louder someone argues, the more desperate they become. We've been conditioned to defend, explain, and prove ourselves. But nature proposes something different. Silence as strength. Silence unsettles. It destabilizes. It forces people to confront themselves. This is for you, the one who feels overlooked, dismissed, invalidated, the one who plays peacemaker while others overstep. Maybe you confuse silence with submission, but silence, when mastered, is not surrender, it's dominance. True victory doesn't come from winning arguments. It comes from not needing to fight at all. Why do we feel the urge to respond, to explain, to prove we're right? Because we're taught silence equals weakness. But Nietzsche saw this urge for what it is: ego, a fragile need to be accepted, to control. Most people don't argue for truth. They argue for power, for validation. The moment you feel the need to justify yourself, you've already lost. You've stepped into their frame. True strength doesn't need approval. It doesn't flinch at criticism. It stands, even misunderstood. This is mastery, not over others, but over self. So how do you gain power without speaking? Nietzsche's answer: become the Übermensch, the one who shapes the world quietly, without begging for validation. He doesn't debate. He doesn't react. He chooses his words like weapons, and often he chooses silence, because silence speaks. It commands. It disarms. While others shout, he watches. While others try to dominate, he remains unmoved, and in that calm, others unravel. His silence is an absence. It's presence. A presence so strong it forces others to see their own weakness. Why does silence disturb people so deeply? Because silence is a mirror, and most people can't bear what they see. In conflict, your silence isn't neutral. It's judgment. It exposes insecurity, weakness, and false confidence. Without your reaction, manipulators lose power. They panic because silence breaks the game. But this silence takes strength, not just to withhold your voice, but to kill the urge to use it. Because real silence isn't passive. It's strategic. It is a refusal to be pulled into games that were never yours to play. Let's make this practical. How do you use silence as a weapon? Resist the urge to react. When everything in you wants to respond, don't. That restraint is power. Observe. Listen not to reply, but to learn. Silence makes you a strategist. Words make others transparent. Let the pause stretch. Silence creates tension, and tension creates collapse. The longer you wait, the more others reveal themselves. Be unpredictable. Silence makes you unreadable. When people can't predict you, they fear you. They adjust. You shift the gravity. But remember, this isn't passive silence. Nietzsche rejected cowardice disguised as peace. This is loaded silence. Purposeful, focused, ready to cut through masks when the moment is right. With one sentence, one look, that ends a discussion without raising your voice. But here's the warning. Silence can become a prison. Not all silence is power. Sometimes it's submission. And you need to ask yourself, is your silence chosen or forced? Are you avoiding conflict because you've been conditioned to stay small? Are others building empires on your silence? There's a kind of silence that keeps the peace and destroys your spirit. That's not power. That's erasure. Nietzsche called it slave morality, the belief that surrender is virtue. But the Übermensch doesn't exist to be liked. He exists to be free. So now what? How do you transform this silence into sovereignty? You start by choosing it, not from fear, but from strength. You speak only when it matters. You stop explaining yourself. You become the presence that doesn't need to prove anything. You kill the version of yourself that needed permission. And from that death, a new self is born, one that shapes the world through unshakable presence. This is your turning point. From now on, let your silence carry weight. Let it define you, not as someone who hides, but as someone who commands respect without ever asking for it. Because in a world addicted to noise, silence is the final power.